Hey, Excelsior Collective, this is David. Welcome to another episode of the Underrated Podcast. This month, Lucas and I are announcing our first newsletter, the Underrated newsletter, that will be live on our website and on our socials. And in this podcast episode, we want to give you a little more insight into all of the different articles we wrote about, give you some more personal insight into what we wrote about, and we hope you enjoy.
So this month's underrated story, it is a throwback. It happened last season, but it's somebody who, when we were talking about Excelsior and brand embodiment, he really stood out to us right away. Trey Yesavage with the Toronto Blue Jays. His season in 2025, we'll get into all the details of it, but a crazy roller coaster of a ride. For those of you guys who don't know, he ends up finishing the season with the Blue Jays. They fall short from winning the championship, but he was such an integral part of their pitching lineup that year. And again, I'm not an expert in baseball. I'm just a casual fan, but you could hear the analysts talk about how much of an impact he was having. That impact mostly came from his uniqueness, actually. And so they discuss about the slot angles that pitchers throw baseballs at. For Trey, his was so far over his head that it's something that most of the players had never experienced. So much so they were custom rigging up like their jug machines, so how when they're getting ready to hit the ball the night before, they have to rig it up a way they've literally never done it before just to get used to the angle that it's coming at. But Trey's story that season, he starts off in high A. And so for those of you who don't know, and I knew only because of where we live and we have a high A team around here, but that's the lowest level of professional baseball in the U.S. And so he progresses his way from high A to double A to triple A, and then he eventually makes it to the Blue Jays right at the end of the season. And the first bit of that is like managing stress and change of environment. It's insane to think that he had to, he moved 5 times in that year just as a human being. That would be a lot for anybody. But he did this and progressed through and battled this adversity, not only, again, as a human, but as an athlete, getting used to new coaching staff, new teams, new teammates. And it is something that is such a cool story because it is his uniqueness and his ability to keep battling through that ends up allowing him to make it to the big leagues.
Yeah, it was an incredible story. I think I watched this game. Do you remember which game it was? Was it like game 1 that he pitched?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was.
I think I did watch it. I'm not a baseball fan, but something about the stories of the Blue Jays going up against the Dodgers being like how expensive the Dodgers are, how much favored they were, but having this Blue Jays team like battle back with them, and especially a pitcher like this being so young coming in and having that performance, it's just beautiful. It's like you think sports have gone on long enough for the top of the sport should like this shouldn't happen, right? And the fact that it does happen is why we watch sports, right? It's just an incredible story. I remember watching, again, I don't know anything about baseball, but you could tell something special was going on. It was like, this isn't supposed to be happening. And that's just what's so exciting about it.
Yeah. And again, personal tidbit of that, but Garrett, somebody who we work with a lot, he's the head of the Xcelsior golf account, does a lot with us. Huge baseball fan, even bigger Blue Jays fan. Yeah. And so, again, like you said, like I would watch periodically. I love going to games, but he had every game on rally towel ready to go. Like he was so involved, and so it was super cool. I live in a house with 3 Canadians, so it's like to see that pride that they would have, and to that same point of, and again we talked about it earlier with our NCAA story, but obviously the Blue Jays don't end up winning, but for them to make it that far and to have this kind of like battle of a David versus Goliath thing where it's like the Dodgers can just outbuy them. Such a cool thing, and again to the point of like what kept the Blue Jays in there is what the Dodgers didn't have, which was like this minor league baseball player who ends up making it there. So it's like this complete dichotomy. I'm sure he was below what technically rookie salary is in the MLB, and he's making such a big impact. And that's what makes it fun.
And just to talk about his character, I was thinking about it with the NBA finals that came recently, and everyone was talking about the nerves that you probably go through at a championship level. I'm like, but these are professionals. Like surely like they can compartmentalize and play their game. Then I thought about it more. I was like, no, this is what you've been working your whole life for,
Yeah.
despite being maybe like a veteran or have like 5+ years in the sport. Like you might not have been here before. Like you're gonna be nervous, and then thinking about him,
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
like the nerves he must have had. And it's one thing being a good player and then being good in those stressful
Yeah.
situations and championship situations. He had every right to fall apart, right? Like
Yeah.
I just keep saying this shouldn't have happened, but a testament to him, how strong of a character, how confident he is in his game. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's unbelievable. And to that same point, I know he has a historic start in his first game. Second game comes and he had a good outing, but nothing like what his first one was. And everybody's like, oh, the effect of like the arm angle is different, or like you said, like so hyped up for this first game, it worked in his favor, and now he's just like kind of coming back to earth. And I remember I think his third start came back out full guns blazing, like, and that's the same point. It's like, it's unbelievable, all this pressure, and they're still able to take the time and channel those nerves in a proper way, and that applies to everybody in all life. Like we get nervous for everything, regardless of how big or small, and it's like, let's channel that and let's have a performance. So for this month's Healthy Habits, this is actually brought to us by Matt Bridge, one of our ambassadors, somebody who's really, really been active in all of our chats, and it's something that we really want to be doing, and he kind of honestly inspired us to even think this way of like, we need to provide as much as we can to our community, whether they're ambassadors or not. But he sent us this page from Fitness Stuff Podcast, and it's entitled Free Calculators. And when he sent it, I was like, oh, it sounds like a cool idea. I click on it. I mean, I use it once a week now, at least. Inside of it, they have a protein calculator, a TDEE calculator, which is basically like your resting caloric intake, a 1-rep max calculator, and a sleep toolkit. And all these things, while some of them are kind of intuitive, like sleep's such a popular topic, and rightfully so, but to have them in one spot kind of always helps, and to be able to look at it. And so what these calculators do is they just really make it accessible to anybody to be able to use these things. Have one thought, think about it, plug it in the calculator, kind of see. In terms of weight gain, weight maintaining, weight loss, that TDEE calculator, I mean, that's the one I use all the time, just to kind of check in, like, oh, where kind of should I be in terms of caloric intake? And obviously it's different for everybody and how often you're going to use these, but for anybody kind of looking for some free resources, and pretty reliable for the most part from what I can tell. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. I don't think they're doctors either, but it's something cool, something free, something accessible, and again, a cool story that Matt was able to share it to us.
Yeah, I remember when he sent it in our ambassador group chat. Yeah, I clicked on it too, and I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
This is like, there's a lot of tools here to use. But it came across to me as like, yeah, this may be for like athletes. Like I remember, I think like Shreya and Shalar responded like, oh, I can't wait to use this. So like maybe being an athlete, and like I know Shreya's like really more about her nutrition and like muscle gain and working out and all that kind of stuff. So how would you say, for me as like more of, I want to say a regular person, but like in my regular life, like are there good tools that, how should I use that?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, there's a bunch of tools. I kind of picked these 4 out. They're the ones that I use more. First thing, and like I said, it's a big buzz thing, but the sleep toolkit, like it talks about simple things in there, but also kind of like gives you steps to do it. And so making sure your room's completely dark, it's cooler temperature, stuff like that you might not even think makes that big of a difference.
I didn't even think about
but
that.
I know, like, once I started implementing these things, obviously I feel them athletically, but like even when I go to class, like I'll feel better that next morning. And so stuff like that makes a huge difference. And then for me, the next big thing, honestly, is probably the TDE calculator. Again, I don't think, personally, obviously everybody's different and everybody has different goals, but just like day to day, you don't really need to worry about exactly how many calories you're intaking. But it is definitely an interesting insight to see, like, okay, obviously I think like the normal recommend is like 2,000 calories per person, but everybody's different, and it shows like based on your height and weight, oh, this is probably what you're actually burning doing nothing. And then it gives you like, okay, if you don't work out any times a week, but you're a little active, if you work out once a week. And so it gives you like a good gauge. And that's really the first step in for anybody being able to use these calculators. It gives you something to be able to measure. So like the next step forward to that would be like, oh, I'm going to weigh myself this week and just see like, does this reflect, am I eating the correct amount? But yeah, like little things like that, I think really have an impact day to day, and some people might not even think about those impacts.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm definitely gonna have to check it out now. For this month, our Ambassador Spotlight, I really want to highlight someone we've not only done a lot of work with, but just had the pleasure of spending a lot of time with over the past month as well, is Shalar Frederick. So Shalar is he does boxing, he does Muay Thai, he does kickboxing, kind of just a martial artist in the true form of the word. So Shalar, I found him on my Instagram For You page, whatever, and I remember this was when we were looking for ambassadors for our second cohort, so I'm just scrolling through a bunch of people trying to see who fits our message. He came across, and a lot of his content is, it'll be a video of him doing whatever activity he's doing in the gym for that day and just speaking his mind over it. He has a lot of humor he injects into that, like his personality comes across immediately. You're like, you meet enough people and you start seeing like types of people. Like when I saw his video, I was like, I don't know him, but like I've met him before. I got a good feeling about this guy. So we reached out to him, said, hey, we'd love for you to be an ambassador, blah, blah, blah. And he tells a funny part of this story. I don't know if you remember.
So he talks about, and for us, the reaching out to the ambassadors part is probably the biggest challenge of that program. And it's, like you said, we find them on our page, and then it's like a cold call email, basically. We're DMing them, telling them what we have to offer them briefly, and just trying to get a conversation going with them. And obviously the return ratio is like, we send out hundreds of these, and sometimes, we get 20 or 30 responses back, and it kind of dwindles down throughout the process. And so for us, it's funny to hear the other side of it, where it's like, oh, what does somebody do when they actually get the DM and they see it? And so he talks about it, how he sees the DM, and he's like, he actually thought it was like a manufacturing for like generic clothing, which is funny because we get the same DMs. And so when he tells his story, like I started laughing about that, and he's like, yeah, that's what I thought it was. I didn't think it was anything like all that serious. I didn't really like click on the page or anything. And he's like, I get to dinner that night, and I'm like talking to my mom about it, and show her the page, and she's like, what are you doing? You got to like respond to them, like talk to them, see what it's about. He's like, oh, okay. And so we get the DM back, and still, even at that point, for most ambassadors or potential ambassadors, it's like, oh, we don't really know if we're going to keep going past this stage. Like, we've opened the door now, we have some sort of line of communication, but let's set up a call and like meet the person, and we want it to be the right fit as well. And so you can talk about it too, but we set up the call and we get in there.
He was critical is the wrong word. Just he was just very cautious about it. Like, he had read over the contract we sent him, and he was like, "Can you guys just read this to me?" So he was basically like, he thought it was a really great offer, which of course that's what we want to do. We were not taking advantage of anybody, but he was almost like, "Oh, this is too good. Like, I need to hear you guys say it, and then I'll be on board with it." So I mean, that was one of the best reactions we've had, because we've had people say, like I don't see what's in this for me.
Like the day before too.
Yeah. So he was wonderful. We agreed, got the agreement signed right away. He was on board. He's been a great member of our community as far as interacting with our other ambassadors, supporting them, being active in our group chats and all that kind of stuff. And we actually had the opportunity to go out to Connecticut to watch one of his boxing fights. So I think you had like an hour to drive to me. Maybe we drove like an hour and a half more.
Yeah.
So it wasn't too far into Connecticut. It's in like this, it's like a boys and girls club, but it feels like a middle school or a high school gym.
Yeah.
Like, it's really like grimy is the wrong word, but just like it feels real.
Yeah.
Like
raw.
This is raw. Like, this is where everyone starts. So we get there. We text him like, hey, we're here, and we're just waiting for him to get back, because I'm sure he's doing all his warm-ups and stuff like that. Like, we don't want to impose. So he texts us back like, oh, I'm about to get my hands wrapped for my fight. Like, come out to the front, I'll meet you. So we go over there, we meet him.
Yeah. We meet him maybe 2 minutes in. He's like, hey, like, yeah, like, ready for the fight. And I think it's the promoter of the fight, right? She comes over and she's like, hey, Shalar, your opponent just left. Like, your opponent just walked out.
Yeah, they're acting like this is the worst thing in the world. I'm like, people could walk out of the building.
And I thought the same thing that you did. So when you tell the story too, every time I think it's so funny, it's like, all right, he's going to get coffee or like going to the bathroom.
Left his
maybe?
mouth guard in the car.
Yeah. And everybody's like freaking out. I'm like, what? And a funny story to that too. Right before when we get there, we check in, and the guy working the desk is like, hey, like 2 fights have dropped, and so we're on fight say 7, but we're actually on fight 9.
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, oh, okay. And I think you say like a little funny joke. It's like, oh, imagine if that's Shalar.
Yeah, something like that. I was like, oh, he would have told us if it was him. Like,
yeah. And now we're sitting there, and he just found out. Leave the venue means, oh, he's done. He's not coming back. Yeah. And so we just find out there's no fight anymore. Like we just drove there. He just got ready all day. He's maybe 7 fights away from his fight, which isn't that much time. Like maybe 2 hours max. Yeah. And now he's got no opponent.
So I remember we gave him a little space. I was like, I don't know how to navigate this situation. But like he handled it like the best I think you could. He like felt that, I guess, that anger, the disappointment real quick, and then like you saw him go like, all right, let me calm down first. I think he even said that like let me calm down for a second. Let me like turn off whatever was going on, getting ready for a fight. He was talking about the adrenaline dumps he was going through all day. Like it must be such a disappointment, but he was able to turn that off, come back down. He went to go talk to his family who had come that he was about to perform in front of, talk to some of his friends. And then he made time for us for the rest of the day to do, because we were hoping we would be able to get content. We got like content creator passes to be ringside. So now we're like, oh, we just lost all of that. Like at least like maybe we can get an interview, but he was more than accommodating. And it was just so easy to transfer from just talking to someone online to meeting him in person. Like such a welcoming person, so kind. So we sit down for the interview and have like one of the best interviews we've ever gotten from anyone, I'd say. Absolutely.
And to that same point, I think it's easier when you do the interviews and obviously you know the person. Like we've been fortunate to work with some athletes at Potsdam, and so I have a pretty good friendship with most of them, and it's like, okay, yeah. But even still on that part, it's funny to do the, okay, we're talking as like normal friends, and it's like, okay, I'm going to interview you. And like you can tell they get a little nervous, but to your point, Shalar's always posting online, always voicing his opinion. So he was flowing right away, and probably in an uncomfortable position in terms of like, oh, he thought he was going to fight, now he's not. People in the background like handled it perfectly, sat down, gave us way more than enough content out of it, but also just like some genuine food for thought answers that you don't always get in these interviews. And to your credit, you asked the questions in a great way, but he did great with it. And to that same point of like switching between, like, oh, being friendly and kind of we're doing the interview, like right after still he's like, hey, like I'm going to go get some food. You guys could come. Yeah. Like full, there was no real switch. It was just like, yeah, we're hanging out. Like we're just doing this thing together. Yeah. That was great. So we didn't go there. We didn't get to see what we wanted out of it, but it still ended up being a good day. And I remember as we were leaving, he was like, I forget how he put it, but like, oh, let's like also just like hang out sometime. I was like, yeah, love that. But that happened actually a lot sooner than we thought it was going to happen. So I had seen from the stuff he posts online, big Knicks fan. Like, I mean, he's from Long Island. Like, of course he should be, but huge Knicks fan. And everything with the playoff run they had this year, like you and I were so excited to watch these finals. So this was going into Game 5 on the Saturday, just earlier that week. Well, I guess so. Game 4 was like a Wednesday, I think. Yeah. And Thursday, I was like, I know you and I want to go out to the city and watch this. I was like, wait, Shalar like might be going into the city for this. So I just texted him real quick. I was like, hey, are you going to be in the city? He's like, oh, absolutely. I was like, oh, let's get together. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be content related, nothing like that. Like, let's just get together and watch this game. And we got together. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't easy as far as the crowds that were there. We're in the longest lines I've ever seen in my life. Somehow we stumble upon that taco spot. Like, who would have Perfect thought? Situation at that point. Like, could literally walked around for 2 hours trying to find one bar to get into. Couldn't.
Nothing.
Lines at the door, not moving. Kind of like accepted defeat and just ended up actually accepted defeat. And Shalar, we just finally linked up with them. And at that point too, even still, I'm like, oh, like he wants to hang out with us or whatever. He's probably gonna realize it's like a tough situation too. He might just find a spot gonna be like, oh, sorry guys, like I'm here. Shows up and he's like, hey, can we just stop to get something to eat?
Yeah,
Like,
he's
we'll
like,
go
"I'm
back to the
hungry,
apartment.
dude."
We're like, yeah, for sure. I mean, best situation possible.
Because my friend TJ, who we were with, who lives in the city, he was like, "Oh, I know a taco spot around the corner," and then he realized, oh, actually, he had just seen them buy a huge flat screen
Yeah.
TV to show the finals and like generate business. So we go right over there. It's like packed for a small taco
Yeah.
spot, but it's as far
Not
as
bad.
watching the
Yeah.
game, it was not packed at all.
Yeah.
So we got some great food
Yeah.
and just watched the entire game there. And then, of course, they end up winning in Game 5 in pretty amazing fashion as far as like still coming from behind like every other game. That one still came down. I feel like that came down to the wire. Like it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, they needed a 4-point play. The Spurs did at the end, so it was still possible. But you kind of felt good about it
Yeah.
going into that. And then like once Wembanyama missed that final shot, like place erupts.
City
I remember,
erupts.
I don't think Shalar even like hugged any of us. The first thing he did, he ran out of the building, then ran back in. We're all like celebrating, and then it was like, all right, like let's see how close we could get to MSG.
Yeah.
And I think you said this too, but it was like as far as people you'd want to be
Yeah.
out in New York in this kind of like rowdy time with, like we got my friend TJ, who's like a huge guy. We got Shalar, who is a fighter. I was
Yeah.
like, dude, like who would be better to be out and feel safe with in
Yeah.
this situation? So just a great time with him. We also got to just talk a bit outside of business and like the stuff he's got going on. Learned he's like studying community health. I think he said he's a junior
Yeah.
in college right now. Also, want to talk to him more about it, but just casually mentions he's going to try out for the U.S. men's boxing team. I think this fall or something like that, or next year. So just such an interesting guy. Looking forward to seeing him again. But he absolutely deserves the spotlight. I think he really embodies the type of athlete and the type of human we represent as Excelsior. Just putting a lot of good energy, love, care into the world, and super happy to have him on board and have him in our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. So for this month's D3 moment of the month, I pulled from University of Mary Washington. Their men's basketball team won the NCAA Division III championship for the first time. Obviously, it's the summertime now, so we're kind of looking back, and I thought it'd be cool to look at a win instead of just like a play or a series of plays. And so Mary Washington played Emory University, and it was 73-73 all the way till the end. And so it was a super tight game. And so right around the buzzer beater, a missed basket ends up in the hands of Colin Mitchell, and he puts a putback up, and they win 75-73. And so what stood out to me for this championship as opposed to some of the others, Mary Washington's not a team where there were some teams where it was more of a Cinderella-esque story, but Mary Washington is a kind of, what I've come to find out, more of like a powerhouse in Division III rankings. But for them, they've never won. And so they've kind of kept getting to this finish line and kept falling short and kept falling short. And so this season they had a 30-3 record. And, you know, it kind of looked like every other year for them. But they kind of put themselves in this situation again. They tested themselves against Trinity College, who's based out of Connecticut. And they went to Indianapolis, which is where it's held, the championship. And so ultimately, they finally get over this hurdle. And for me personally, this kind of stood out as something that really resonated with Excelsior in the sense of they faced this adversity plenty of times. And sometimes they didn't get their goal of winning. And that's something we talk about too a lot, is like, just because you want it more, or even if you're working hard on the other team, it doesn't always land into your lap. But through persistence, and obviously what must be a good culture to be in this situation year after year, they were able to finally win.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's beautiful. Where'd you find out about them?
Yeah, so I just went through the NCAA championships basically, and went through each, and I was able to watch the highlights from their last game. And then obviously dug through Instagram and looked through their page and everything, and it seems like they've got a good group. And like I said, like they're kind of always on that doorstep. And so it was cool to see, like, even at first I was kind of like, oh, I don't know how interesting it would be to kind of talk about a team who always wins. And then it's like, oh, they always win, but they never win the
But yeah.
championship. And so it was a cool story with that.
Wow. And were you able to watch? Did they have like a clip of
Yeah.
that? Oh yeah, you'll
Yeah,
have to
yeah,
show me that.
yeah.
That sounds sick. Was it did you get to see any like post game interviews or from the players, like how emotional
Yeah,
they
I
were about
couldn't.
it?
I could find like the clips end right at the like after the buzzer beater. They show like them celebrating,
Yeah.
so they're super emotional there. I'm sure I could find. We should try to look for some of the clips when they're talking and some of the interviews. That'd be cool to see. But yeah, it's a cool
'Cause
experience.
I've loved just watching all the like post game stuff the Knicks have been doing
Yeah.
since their win, and it's just so heartwarming to have that group like finally break this curse, however you want to call
Yeah.
it. So I'd imagine any team like that where they've never won it. The thing was like, yeah, the Knicks haven't won a while, but they have before, right? To be the first time
Yeah.
you've won, it must be incredible.
Yeah.
It's pretty beautiful.
It's definitely cool, and I mean I could speak to just the challenge that it presents to have a team and be like, okay, we got to win within 4 years. That's all I'm here for.
Yeah.
And obviously, it's cool too. Speaking of the Knicks and like coaching staff and everything, it's like I don't know for sure, but I assume that at Mary Washington they've probably had a coaching staff. At what I've seen in NCAA Division III is like some coaches are there for 20, 25 years, and so while a player might be looking at it from this micro image of like, oh, I have these 4 years, like this is the work of a university and a staff of decades possibly trying to push for this team to make it there. And again, sometimes it falls your way, sometimes it doesn't, but it must be an unbelievable experience.
Yeah, that's incredible. I want to see some of those clips. That's
Yeah.
awesome. For this month's underrated study, I think our vision for this segment is if we stumble upon an interesting paper we got to read and want to bring more light to it, I think that's where we want to take this. But for the first month, I really wanted to do a little plug about something I find extremely interesting and I'm passionate about. So this is about the field of catastrophe modeling and everything I've come to know about it, how I envision it being used in the future. And I just want to drum up that conversation because I don't think it's talked about enough, and I think it's really important. So the questions that inspire me for this field is that when we have a storm, like we're in the Northeast in New Jersey right now, when we have a hurricane, it's the questions that go through my mind are like, are we going to lose power? What trees are going to fall down? Is there going to be damage to my house? Like, am I safe where I am right now? And at this point in like science and how developed we are, I don't think we should have those questions anymore. I don't think it's ridiculous to say that at this point we should be comfortable in the infrastructure that we have.
Yeah.
So with that, this whole field of study is trying to progress how things are built, how our infrastructure is analyzed, looking at a whole region under a certain earthquake, or we call them natural catastrophes, right? This is your earthquakes, your tsunamis, your hurricanes. I could probably go into tornadoes. I haven't done tornadoes yet, but I'm sure we could. But the idea is that take a region of study, so maybe it's for us, it's Monmouth County, right? And try to create a model of, so we know the type of infrastructure, how old things are, have they been retrofit as far as improvements to withstand flooding and things like that. And then let's create a model of a hurricane that comes through. How much rainfall is there? How high are the winds? And then you end up doing some analysis on the structures that are in the area and seeing what's failing, what's getting flooded. And with that, how monetarily, like how much is this going to cost as far as, I mean, there are lives lost in this. There's economic losses to the businesses that go down. If bridges or roadways close, then you can't transport people. There's also your social losses, right? Like people can't get to school anymore, get to work. All of this goes into it, and you can start quantifying like, okay, this roadway here, if this closes, kids can't get to school. That's like really bad. We need people to go to school. We need people to go to work. If this road closes over here, that's not used too much. That's okay. So you go from your catastrophe model that you've created, and then you can help inform infrastructure planners and saying, hey, this region is in disrepair right now. You should really reinforce this before the next storm comes, so that people don't have to worry about their lives or their power or anything like that. So I think it's really powerful, and I also think it's underrated. This is a pretty new field, like a field in its infancy, that we have the power to simulate these kind of things. And it was really because what we're seeing in the world is that with our catastrophic events, they're becoming more severe and more frequent. And we don't have enough historical data to predict that trend or when things are going to happen or how bad they're going to be. So we need to start making assumptions and using these models to say, like, if a storm this bad came through,
Yeah.
how would our community react? So it's something I'm doing my master's for right now at Lehigh University. I think it's one of the only universities who actually have a established master's program for it. But again, this is all new, so I really want to bring attention to it because I think it's something so important that we should be comfortable in our houses, in our buildings, know that, yeah, the storm's coming through. I'm safe where I am right now, and I know tomorrow or whenever it's over, I'll still be able to do what I have to do. I think it's about time we're able to do that in our world.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I have so many questions. The first one that comes to the top of my head is this becoming possible because of, say, improvements in like AI or computing power, and is that why we're able to kind of start stepping into that door?
I think as far as why this is in its infancy, I don't think I have a good answer for that because to me it's so obvious. But I think it is with the acceleration of climate change, like I said, we're getting hit really hard, right? This probably, I would imagine this started with like when we had Hurricane Sandy and Katrina and how devastated the Northeast was. We just recently had Hurricane Helene that I think was in, I think it was it North Carolina or something like that, that also got decimated.
Yeah.
Like, we're getting so damaged, I think it causes this need for a field like this. But yes, as far as your AI, a lot of what my team members did in our most recent class, we had a capstone where we were trying to simulate the Northridge earthquake in California and seeing if we could predict correctly the damages that happened based on the historical data reports. So a lot of them were using machine learning and other like AI models and I can't speak on this too much because I come into this field from like a structural engineering point of view, not so much programming. So it's really nice to have team members who know what they're doing in that. But they did create a machine learning model, and I think that just is able to detect different patterns that are like we'd have to write programs and look at data to understand things. Machine learning is able to interpret that in different ways. So I think we do have like really powerful computers and tools at our disposal that makes it easier. But I also think it is just a sign of the time. Like, we're seeing like this is important right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree 100%. Like, even as you're talking about this, I was like, man, this is like a career I could get into. Like this, I see that. My only, I guess, drawback, maybe it's just like the cynical nature in me, but do you think you could see like companies such as like insurance companies using this to not exploit, because I guess they have the right to do it, but like make sure they're getting more accurate premiums on certain areas that are more at risk?
So actually, that's what this was created for.
Okay.
And so my interpretation of catastrophe modeling, I want to take it into infrastructure planning, and I don't think that's really done right now. I think that's where it belongs and where it'll go, whether like I have to be at the, not me, but like people like me have to be at the forefront to use it in this manner. But it actually is created by insurance companies to better predict their premiums in an area. So to an extent, I understand it, right? Insurance is important for those disasters that when something bad happens and you don't have enough money to cover it, that's what insurance is for. But for insurance to do their job, they need accurate premiums, because if something bad happens and they don't have the money, they go insolvent. All the people lose their jobs on top of people already losing their houses and whatever happened. So this is used for like actuarial science, like insurance science. I don't want to take it there. Like you said, I don't know, like, you don't want to be mean and say it's taking advantage, right? Because it still is important in a way. But, I mean, is it ridiculous to say we wouldn't need insurance companies if our infrastructure was just okay under these circumstances? So I think it really needs to be brought into the world of engineering and design and planning. And that's where I want to take it, because I think what's really also special about this is if you're passionate and interested in this right now, it's small enough. Like, get involved, work hard, and you're going to be at the forefront of this field when it becomes something more mainstream
Yeah.
and important.
Absolutely. That's very cool.
As far as what's new at Excelsior this
Yeah.
month, we just, I guess it was in May?
Yeah.
Or was it early June we released this?
I think we started teasing in May, early June. It
Okay,
comes
so
out.
it's
Yeah,
on the
yeah.
border. But we had our Flourish 2 collection. So actually, do we have one back here?
Yeah.
From our first Flourish collection last spring, we had a series of 3 flower themed shirts, and that was our last was it print
on demand.
print on demand
Yeah. Yeah.
launch. So this was our first Flourish collection that was actually bulk produced.
Yeah.
So we loved our Flourish collection last year. Just the color and beauty it brought, how much you can do when talking about flowers and what they mean. We had a great cast of models with us. So that was a really great time. The only thing that didn't go our way was the weather during that shoot. I think we made the most of it, but looking back, it was so cold and dreary. But that was one of our favorite releases, and we knew we wanted to run it back sometime and hopefully get a better time of year and do it some real justice. So we came up with these shirts that we're wearing today. I don't remember when we started talking about this design, but like obviously you go through life and you see clothes all the time. You have clothes like stores you like going to or designers you like. So I really like Larry June's brand, the rapper from California, his brand Midnight Organic. I think they make really quality clothes. I always like their designs. They're calm enough to wear wherever. Like they're still graphic tees, but there's nothing crazy about them. They still feel comfortable to go out in. So I remember one shirt I saw from him. I don't know if I got this one, but I think there was a big orange on his back, like oranges is his thing, with like a cool kind of grainy texture over it, and just looked good. And I was like, I feel like I like this shirt. Why don't I see like what I could come up with in this style? So we came up with the blue orchid, and we put just a little texturing over it, played with it a bunch, went back and forth, and found a design we really loved. As far as choosing the blue orchid, I really like to center this around what like meanings behind Excelsior and not just put something cool out that has a meaning. And even if people aren't reading the descriptions in our videos or on our website, I feel like it's still for those who don't read it. Like we always try to hide some cool stuff on the website in our captions. And so if you're seeing those, like those are for you, those little pieces. But with the blue orchid, it was, I believe, symbolic to Christopher Columbus coming over and discovering America, or coming over to America, and that blue orchid either was like brought with his ship, or it was something that was seen in America. But it really highlights the pioneer spirit. It highlights growth, finding something new, opening a new path. I was like, oh, this is perfect for what we represent. So I knew we wanted to go ahead with that flower and that design, and then I think I brought that all to you, kind of like, I don't think you knew it was happening. I was like, oh, here's our design.
Yeah, no, to your point too of like our typical production steps are usually like you said, we find some sort of piece that we're kind of inspired by, but we have a broader message that we're trying to send first and foremost. And I think maybe a month after we released Flourish, we were like, okay, we got to do a 2 eventually. Like, we loved this piece so much. And so it was kind of in the back of our minds, but we didn't know when we'd release it, how many years after. We kind of knew we'd want it to be spring-ish. And usually, like you said, like have a kind of an outline of the design. We go through, I mean, for the original Flourish, maybe 150 different versions altogether between the 4. And we finally settled on something where this one was just quick. So natural. Yeah. Like you said, I actually had no idea, I don't think, and you're like, hey, what do you think about this design? And I was like, we're ready to print. Obviously, we went through a couple of renditions with it, but it's like, it was just a piece that kind of like fell into our hands, and to all your credit, like, you basically made the whole design, and it was, again, something that embodied what we were looking for messaging-wise, but matched and fit the vibe that we were trying to transition into as a company, and it was something super cool. And for me, it was kind of like a fan, like, I just got to see the experience right away. Like, oh, here it is. I'm like, yeah, I want that.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give you your credit for as far as finding this blank that we
Yeah.
have for the shirt that I absolutely love. It's like that heavier material. It feels good. It's oversized. Like it just feels like a shirt that's gonna last. Like I did love these shirts, but this is like it's a
Yeah.
thinner material.
Yeah.
It's like it's mine's held up well, but you can feel the difference
Yeah.
when you put them on. So I think you found that blank, and we just
Yeah,
threw them
went with it.
together
Yeah.
and ordered them. This was also one of our favorite photo shoots we've ever
Yeah.
done. We finally had a good day. I feel like there were always asterisks to
Yeah.
wherever our photo shoots were. This one I think went fantastic.
Yeah, and to your point too of the first one, I was in Potsdam when you were recording the first one, but I could see all the pictures and stuff, and my little brother's with you guys helping with some of the behind the scenes and hearing about how cold and how wet it is, and it's like when we went back to the same place, same park in Newark, to get similar shots, and we thought it'd be cool to kind of show like the evolution of years, and kind of in the back of my mind, I'm like, oh, it might kind of like rain on us or something.
Yeah.
Just like that's kind of our history with our
Yeah,
photo
it just
shoots.
happens.
We show up, it's a great day. It was cool for me to have that experience of, oh, I've seen these pictures in these exact same
Yeah.
locations from these angles, and now I get to take them and I get to experience what it's like to kind of be here, and I'm sure for you too to see like actually the evolution of this was photo shoot one year to this is the photo shoot the next year.
Yeah, especially how much better it went this year. It
Yeah.
was fantastic. Our models for the photo shoot, TJ, one of my best friends from college, Sophia, we were in Sierra Leone together when we were doing our research for like social impact stuff. So she's been a good friend of mine for a while, and just like wonderful people. Like our other photo shoots have gone well, been enjoyable. When you're working with friends, like obviously your friends want to help you out and be part of this, and we're so lucky to have those people. But not everyone's like too comfortable with the camera and with interviews, and I know I'm still not. I'm still learning as well. But these two were like laughing, making jokes, just enjoying the whole time there, and that made it so much easier for us to, like, you kind of get into a flow, right? Like when things are awkward, you're like, okay, stand like this, stand like that.
Yeah.
But then when you're all having fun, like it just happens.
Yeah. Yeah. And to the same point, time after time, we're like, hey, we need to work on these poses, or like try to figure out how to teach people into the poses. But when people are talking and having that interaction, it felt like in this time obviously we gave a couple poses, some shots that we really wanted, but other than that, it's like, okay, go over there, I'm going to set up, and by the time you look back, they're in 4 different poses that you would have wanted to take, and you're like, keep going, like, don't stop.
Yeah, they were fantastic.
That was a great experience.
Yeah, and then the last piece of the Flourish collection was the new keychains we developed. So that's kind of been our thing for each release we have, like just something that our customers can have to remember, like something we throw into the bag, something to represent, and we think keychains are a great way to do that, right? They're always with you wherever you go, just like a cute little ornament. I love how these turned out. I think this again was like I kind of was just going with it. It maybe sent you a few things along the way, like you like the direction, but I knew I wanted a blue flower to match the shirt. I needed to have the Xcelsior logo in there, but I guess what made this one different was Keith, stepdad, got a 4-color 3D printer. So before I was making stuff where you're like, oh, glue the piece in 2 or 3 parts. Like this, I just made the design and he just ran it, and it was perfect first try. Like I loved how this one came together, and I love having it on my keychain.
Yeah, and it's cool. I know we've talked about it in the past, and it's something we always try to make applicable parts of people's lives, underrated competitors' lives, and the keychain's our first step into it. But I mean, I thoroughly enjoy it, and I think you do too, like the design process of trying to create what is keychains. I know we brainstormed like some things that people might want to use from day to day, and I think obviously Xcelsior is going to continue to grow and continue to grow with clothing, but even product design too, something that's like super fun, and I could almost confidently say you'll be seeing something similar to these in different facets throughout the years.
Absolutely. I know we got some ideas. I know I want to figure out how to do like a fidget toy, something like that.
Yeah.
That's a harder project, but I'm going to figure it out.
Absolutely.
And I'd love you to talk a bit about a little path you've been, something, like little path to the side that's still like part of our culture, but highlighting an even more niche group than just the underrated competitor.
Yeah. So I actually had this idea. Obviously, I played Division III hockey at SUNY Potsdam, and so hang around with the women's teams all the time. And even more so than just normal Division III competitors, I would say women's sports are usually not as represented, and they don't get the spotlight that they deserve. And I get to see some great athletes compete every week. I get to watch them play, and it really is amazing to see A, how good they are, and B, it's cool to see their personalities when they get to come out. And so we've been fortunate enough to work with Maddie Ferguson and Olivia Visco in this last cohort and do some interviews with them and get day in the lives. And there's plenty of others that we've been able to work with, and it's cool to see. And so I wanted to step through and make the Women of D3 account just as an organic platform for people in that community and supporters of that community to get to meet the athletes more. There's once stepping into this scene, we've learned, there's other people who highlight more from, just the performance standpoint, maybe, or team standpoints. But I think it's cool, and it really speaks to what it means to be an underrated competitor of, hey, we want to show what the person's like, and use some of the stuff we've learned through Xcelsior in terms of how we've done some of our interviews and how we've made some of our posts and kind of bring that to that community.
It seems like there's like huge demand for this
Yeah.
as well. Like all you did was create the account, create an announcement post. You haven't even partnered with anybody and put content on there. But just by following people and the amount that are following back, it's like people want to see this. People are
Yeah.
excited for this, and that gets me, and I'm sure you as well,
Yeah.
excited to progress this.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it's something we just really want to be a community. And as we move forward, and we'll talk about it right after this, but with this newsletter, it's like this is the next step of Xcelsior of just building this community for people. And so I think we'll be able to see very well and very soon once we do start putting stuff out there. Like it's going to be cool to see a community support themselves and support each other. And that's what I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, me too.
And so with that, obviously, kind of this is all an extension of the newsletter that we're putting out. With the newsletter, we have a bunch of different sections with it, and we want to create this holistic place where any underrated competitor, whether you're an athlete, a student, a young professional, you come through and learn something new and hopefully get a new resource that you're able to use. Obviously, in this one, I talked about the free calculators aspect, and that's something that, like I said, I use every day. And for you could talk about it again, but even the study that you brought up, like it's something that is very interesting. I found it very interesting. I'm sure many people like me are going to, but would have no idea it existed otherwise.
Right, yeah. All of these segments we chose because we want to provide positive value to people. Like I feel like a lot of media and reporting right now, for good reason, but there's a lot of negative. And at least what we serve is we want to inspire people, show people good examples. So our healthy habits, like we are going to eventually have exercises and recipes for the underrated story. Like reminisce with us. Maybe you remember this story or not, but of just big league things that have happened that really showed people's character, and just be inspired by that. As far as the underrated study, for those who are interested in like a more like a science related piece, like here's something we found out about that we find interesting, we didn't know, you could take a look as well. What else do we have? Highlighting our ambassadors, people who really represent Xcelsior and inspire us, and hopefully they inspire you too to just work a little harder. Just remember who you are, what you're working for, and see someone else who's doing the same thing. And just find out more about what's going on with me and you, some of our stories about where we're going with Xcelsior. Just stay in the loop and hopefully have some content you enjoy.
So we have some questions from the collective. First question is, how did you guys start Xcelsior? We met probably, honestly, 10 years ago now.
Probably 10.
And we were just playing video games. Funny story, when we tell everybody, it takes a minute for them to understand like that happened like that. But anyway, we were playing. We got a lobby together.
Black Ops 3.
Yeah, Black Ops 3.
Call of Duty.
And I forget who sent who the message first. But I know it was like a 2v4. We were both playing really good.
Yeah, we had like a crazy comeback or something like that. And one of us, I don't know. I want to say it might have been me because I remember like my parents were really strict, like don't talk to people
Yeah.
online, and we're in like we're probably like eighth or ninth grade.
Yeah.
At least I was like that. So it's like, all right, come on, like I know how to live,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of, but I wouldn't talk to anyone online. But something told me I was like let me just send him a message like yo like good stuff.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe we just won that kind of thing. I don't remember. I don't know about
Yeah.
like
No.
receiving that on your end.
No. Yeah. I do remember that, and I remember. I think I was like done playing for the day too. I was like about to get off or whatever. I see it, and I'm like, usually it's like you suck.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, it is.
I'm like, oh yeah. I was like, he did play good. Like we balled out. So I remember I responded or whatever, and the way you always say it's so funny, where it's like respond and then it's like, what's your Skype?
Yeah. It was Skype at the time, and then like I was just like, oh, good game, whatever. Didn't think of anything, and like then I get that I was like, oh, this is what my parents warned me
Yeah.
about. Like, oh my god. But I don't know what it was, but yeah, for whatever reason, we exchanged Skype stuff and just started playing games together.
Yeah.
You introduced me to Kai,
Yeah.
one of your best friends who also lives in the area, and that's the other thing we found out. We only lived 15
Yeah.
minutes away from each other. We didn't go to like the same school system, but so close by. So we all became friends. Eventually, pick up Jimmy because
Yeah.
we were playing competitively. And yeah, how many years did we play together? Like 2 or 3?
Yeah.
Before?
I think 3 at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it was crazy, and even to talking about like, oh, finding out we live 15 minutes away,
Yeah.
like same sort of thing where it's like was told, like, oh, don't ever give your address or anything.
Yeah.
And I don't remember exactly what it was, but I swear it was just like hints along the way of like,
Yeah.
I think this guy lives in New Jersey.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it like you said, it ended up being like Kai lives 5 minutes away from me, you 10, 15 minutes away. So we had 3 guys who were super close, and like for people who don't know how it works, we played pretty competitively. So we ended up playing like at a LAN. So you go in person and you play against other teams.
Yeah.
And so we were fortunate enough to meet Jimmy there, and it was a really, really cool experience. And to that, how that ties into what we're doing now.
Well, I was gonna say it, like, so we compete together, but that was kind of the end of our road because I was going to college. You had to focus on hockey. It was more like, oh, let's see if this is anything when we compete. Came up short.
Yeah.
So we were like, all right, we could still be friends and play games, but we gotta kind of go separate ways as far as competitively. So that was all under Quantum Gaming. Then I think when we moved on, Kai kept playing, and you guys turned that into, you coined Xcelsior after that.
Yeah. And I guess like going back really far, don't usually talk about this, but like I remember I was just like looking through lists of Latin words and stuff, and quantum gaming was super cool, and still I'm super big nerd, love thinking about like quantum mechanics, and actually originally like back then I wanted to go to school for astrophysics, and so it was like all kind of tied into this, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but there were some brands in the scene around the time, like 100 Thieves and Optic. And I was like, oh, it'd be cool, if we had a little bit of like a cleaner profile. And so I was like looking through Latin words, and I stumbled upon Xcelsior, and it's usually spelled with an E. And basically its root is just higher. That's been further expanded to like upwards and onwards. And so I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like, again, for people who don't understand, back then to professional teams, like rose through the ranks, and you can make it playing professionally that way. Now there's like franchise teams and stuff, and so you kind of as a player have to do that. But at the time it was like, oh, these organizations are doing this, and you'd see it all the time, like where this team come from. And so I was like, oh, it's like a cool motto to that. And yeah, like you said, like I was done playing, but I loved doing all the branding and stuff. And so landed on Xcelsior, had the E. I was like, oh, I don't love it. It wasn't the best branding with that. And then took away the E and kind of, I think if I recall correctly, just played around in Adobe Illustrator until I ended up with the X logo, like the logo mark. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. But you could talk to, after that, it was kind of like some dark times. Like we didn't really do much for a while. So kind of stopped. Kai kept playing, Jimmy kept playing, but they kind of were like fizzling in and out of it as well. At this point, I think I've graduated high school. You're definitely in college, like deep in now. And yeah, I was like, yeah, it's, kind of nothing going with it, but I always liked doing the graphic design stuff, and that was fun. And so my little brother, Nick, he, as you know, he loves getting involved in everything I'm doing. So he thought all the gaming stuff was super cool. He thought all the branding stuff was super cool. And I was getting ready to go to college now. And again, years of not really doing anything with the brand. And I was like, like it'd be cool to wear something just to like remind me of like that community I had with the friend group and everything.
And
Go ahead.
Real quick, I was going to butt in. This actually bleeds into what, like the second question, what Buria asked us is what made you guys start the brand. So that was kind of like the origination of Xcelsior as a concept. And then like, I think this part of the story is where, it becomes this brand.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And we always talk about too, is like that feeling, right? Like exactly what we were saying, like how did we transition from that feeling that we had as like kids growing up playing together into how we extend this to other people. And so, little brother's kind of pestering me. He knows I kind of want to do something with clothes. And so he kind of gives me like the leaning push of like, hey, you should do this. Like you should get the clothes or whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay. I stopped by a local print shop on the way home and I print some hats. And at this point I know like, okay, I want to do this. It's going to be really cool. I'm going to need some help. And I love all the guys that we played with. I loved all that friend group, but you were somebody, and you always say it's like, somebody I'd want to work with in school, in work, in life, and anything. So it's like, like let me ask. And you always say it great, but it's like I sent you a letter in the hat, and when I wrote it out, I was even like, I hope I hope he doesn't just like look at it and be like, yeah, whatever, dude. And then second to that, I'm like, I hope he's like as serious as I would take it. And I just remember what felt like a week later, 2 weeks later, like we have our LLC filed, like you called me back and you're like, yeah, like 100%, let's do this. And that was great. Like that was the partnership that I needed to be able to do any of this. Yeah. And you could talk to then like, again, great help that we received. And I think that's like what we try to give to people now is like, we had so many mentors along the way that really helped us transform what was just like a cool gaming thing into the brand that we have today.
Yeah, absolutely. So on my side of things, I remember you had texted our group chat of like me, you, John, Jimmy, Kai, and you were like, just Venmo me $10. You're like, what is all this for? Like we'll still play games from time to time. We rarely hear from you. You're at school. You're doing hockey. You're busy. You're like, okay, I guess. So like a week later, I get the blue Xcelsior hat, the first one you made, in the mail. Nice blue like dad hat with Xcelsior in white on the front, and on the inside you put a little yellow note paper with a little letter on it, just saying how you're starting this brand. You'd really like me to be a part of it and see what we can do with it. And for me, Quantum and Xcelsior, especially the Xcelsior logo when you created it, just reminds me of that time we were playing as kids, and of my friends, as well as what the brand we've created today, meaning just people you really look up to, people doing good in the world, and people who inspire you to also do good and work harder. So that logo already meant a lot to me. I was like, I want to be behind this. I want to share this with the world. And like you said, I wanted to work on a project with you that we never got a chance to. Like we were on a team together, but I wanted to continue what we had all those years ago. So for me, it was no question. I was like, absolutely. And like you said, like 2 weeks later, we have an LLC established. And that was it opened up a whole nother monster of things, but it was a huge milestone for us as far as like, we're going to do this and see where it goes.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess kind of segueing into a question and kind of something we want to talk about broadly is extending that feeling is what it's all about for us. And obviously we've gone through renditions, and now it's people who work relentlessly, overcome adversity and rise beyond expectation. And those are the people we're really trying to empower. And obviously those are the people who stay underrated is what we call it. But for us as a company too, we had clothing as a medium to kind of move us forward. And it still will be. Like it's still a passion of ours and we love doing it. But we definitely want to, and through one of those mentors, as mentioned, Ian, he helped us find out, like what drives us is that community. Mm-hmm. I'm sure more and more we talk, we'll get into, how cool it was to be able to have, have people over for the summer and even meet up with some ambassadors. And it's like that community aspect is really what drives us and what brings us so much joy. Mm-hmm. And so it's cool to see how that's progressed and how much more we want to lean into that. So if you could talk to like about kind of what our plans are moving forward with that aspect of bringing this community together.
Yeah, like you said. So my uncle Ian, is a like really well-established like business person. Is like I think he's retired now, working on his tennis game, like having fun. But when he was younger, he worked for Microsoft, and just did a plethora of wonderful things. So to be able to have someone like that to just call up and talk to and get his business opinions, even though he says, "Oh, take this with a grain of salt. I don't know what I'm talking about," like. Well, we know he knows what he's talking about. So we were talking to him, and he's like, I'm not in the clothing industry, but it seems like you guys have a really great message, but it's kind of long to put on clothing, and it takes a little bit. It's meaningful, but it takes people a bit to understand and identify with it and see what it means to them. And that's hard to communicate through clothing. He was like, what I hear from you guys is that you really enjoy the community, the people who you get to interact with, our friends in the photo shoots, anyone who comes to our local events, our ambassadors we get to meet online and interact with. Like, that's a huge part of why we love what we get to do with Xcelsior. So he was like, why don't you delve more into that? And I think that's something that was in our minds, but what we're realizing is we're two busy people. Like, you have hockey and school, I have work and my master's. Like, there's only so much time. So when we're trying to put out these pieces that we really care about, these clothing pieces, something has to give. And we realized, we're not putting as much into our community as we want to be. So I think that's like, as far as what's next for Xcelsior, we want to keep doing these clothing drops because we love that creative outlet, but also figuring out how to expand this community, how to get this message to more people, and what that looks like. And like, we're both like math engineer mindsets, I'd say. So as far as like advertising and everything, like, that's a whole new avenue for us to learn and get involved with. But it's another challenge, and it's exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, as you mentioned too, it's like that's always what was at the forefront of our thought too. Every piece we'd make, we'd plan out what the media would be behind it and like what message we're trying to show. And to your point too of like, we have to figure out how it all works, is like, we're trying to fit a 500-word document into a 13-second video, and it's not connecting as well as we'd like to. And so this is a great opportunity for us to really learn, which I think is like the coolest part of it all. But B, just like put all of our effort into it, because it'd be like, oh yeah, we want to do this, we want to show this, and it's like, okay, but we have to worry about all the clothing aspects of this, and this. So it's something that, you know, even for if it's just this season we're taking off, like it's a cool opportunity, and it's going to really help us, again, maybe redefine a bit what Xcelsior is and try to connect with the people that we want to connect with.
So another question comes from one of my good friends, Neil. He says, do you sign esports players? So this is actually a good question. I don't think he meant it to be, because Neil's a troll. But this is actually like connects with our brand really well. So Neil is a good friend of mine, actually a friend of a friend that I met in college, who, like, he and I just ended up getting along really well. So the three of us will hang out. The three of us play Fortnite no-build trios together all the time. I mean, he might not say all the time because I'm not able to get on. But I play anytime I can, which isn't enough for him. But I think it's a funny question because we started as an esports brand, as we spoke to a little bit before. But we met playing Call of Duty. We played competitively at a local LAN together. And then when we moved away from that, you went back, and even though we weren't playing, you actually went out and sponsored an esports team.
Yeah, it's like you said, it's like a spot on question. That's honestly originally kind of what I thought, not necessarily Xcelsior, but like what I would have ended up doing. Huge learning curve, obviously, learning that whole business side of it. I would say esports is a fun industry. Obviously, we played, and so it's like you get that foot in the door, and again, even to the sponsoring team, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of joy in being able to watch a team that represents who you are, and the community that you want to build. And it's like any sports team, right? It's like, oh, you want your team to win so bad, and when they do, it's like the best feeling, and when they don't, it's like, oh, I wish I could just help them. And so that period of time, we maybe had, I want to say, 3 to 4 competitive teams. One of our teams played in Call of Duty. They won a SoCal event. they were super strong contenders. They ended up going to CWL Vegas that same year. I think they did pretty good. I think they actually ended up getting knocked out by Envious. So they had like a good run there. It was super impressive. At the same time, we had more of an amateur team that Kyle was a part of, and that team really did so much for us in terms of like content and everything, and that was great for us, and that was a fun team to watch. And obviously, we played Call of Duty. Sounds like Neil's more of a Fortnite guy.
Yeah.
I know we tried to kind of get in that a little bit. But one of the esports that we ended up getting into that was the super cool was Overwatch. And again, I've never played. At least I had played Fortnite, so I knew like a little bit about it. But that team was like, again, I assume a lot of it's luck. I think I got pretty lucky along the way, but that was a team of like super, super great guys. Obviously, we kind of knew like content first model, kind of basing it off of like what Optic had done. And so all the time I was like, hey, like I want to make this piece of content, but I need this kind of video or whatever. And all of them, they had friends or family who was always willing to help record. And anyway, and it was a super, super fun group to be with. And so maybe not right now, we don't sign an esports player, but definitely like that would be something cool to be able to, have a jersey again and be represented on the stage.
Or even like our ambassadors that we do right now, we have like boxers and hockey players and all that. I was thinking, I don't know why this hasn't fallen in our lap yet, because it seems so obvious. It's like where our roots are. But I think lots of people are already franchised. Like they're on a team that does this already. I don't really know the free agent scene like that. If they're making content, like our content really applies well to, I'd use like Shalar as an example, who is just always in the gym working, putting videos out about like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about today. This is what I did today, and talking about the fights coming up. I don't know, at least on my feed, I don't get people in esports doing that kind of stuff. So maybe it's a niche or maybe it's not. But I'd love to get into that again.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point too. Like even if it was just an ambassador to start. Because I definitely feel that same like, oh my God, let's hope they win kind of feeling. And it would be cool to see maybe Fortnite, maybe Call of Duty, maybe an individual game, but it'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And then, so our last question that we have, and we kind of touched on this, but what are you guys dropping next? And so, as I mentioned, we're kind of taking a break this season to really focus on building that community aspect. But I think that also kind of leans into what we'll be doing after that. It's more about having a piece that you're proud to represent what it means. And obviously, as you mentioned, it's hard to express our full meaning in just clothing. And so possibly, like if we're building this community, the community members know. And it's kind of like, oh, this is like a member shirt, right? Like I'm proud to know what this means and to be represented by this. And to be wearing that is just like, hey, I know what this is. I'm going to tell somebody else about what it is. But one thing's for sure is that we're trying to build high quality clothing. Obviously, we kind of got samples all around of like some potential ideas that we have. And it's fun to see how we grow, and we don't know exactly what we're putting out yet. And you can talk to this, but definitely the quality is what we're trying to push every time.
Yeah. And I'd say, I'm sure this isn't what Addison directly meant, but as far as drops, like, we might not have a summer clothing, but this is our drop, right? We're trying out this newsletter. We're hoping it'll be monthly, and hoping people enjoy the content that comes out of it, the different segments we're putting on here. So this is really where we're trying to engage right now. But as far as moving on to what'll happen in the fall and the winter, like we have some quarter zips. I don't know if we've put out any material on those yet, but the quarter zips are definitely in our minds now. I know there's a lot of interest for golf polos and professional polos as well, so we might miss the golf season, but I mean, I'd love to have like a polo to go to work in or something like that. So do have a ton of ideas. It's just a matter of like when we're able to expand on them. Thank you all so much for watching this episode of the Underrated Podcast. If you're interested in reading the full articles that we wrote on our new Underrated newsletter, you can find the link to our website in our bio. And we hope you enjoy, and we'll see you next month. Stay underrated.